It's amazing they got away with it for so long. Bankers bending the rules, ignoring the risks and making a motza in the process. Here in Australia, we like to think we avoided the worst of the global financial crisis. But we had our share of rogues in this country too. And the misery they've inflicted on hundreds of Aussie battlers is as cruel as anything perpetrated by Wall Street. It all started when the Bank of Queensland got into bed with a reckless outfit called Storm Financial. It was a time of easy money, dodgy loans and monumental greed. And presiding over it all was a fast-talking CEO who won't admit his bank was wrong. Down in an underground Brisbane car park is the only place you can get some answers from one of Queensland's most powerful businessmen. Mr Liddy, Ellen Fanning from 60 Minutes, sir. Yes, David Liddy is CEO of the Bank of Queensland.
I want to ask you about your Storm customers. Why won't you set those loans aside, sir?
Sorry.
And for 18 months now, he's been trying to keep the lid on a scandal. That his bank made money setting up hundreds of Aussie battlers with bad loans.
Terminated, sir.
Excuse me?
Was it a cover-up, sir?
Of course it was not a cover-up, as I said.
Loans worth well over $100 million.
Mr Liddy, sooner or later you'll have to answer these questions, Mr Liddy.
Well, it's a disaster scenario, and I believe the Bank of Queensland are in dire straits. I mean, you've shown me documentation where my jaw drops, where I haven't seen this sort of thing before.
You shocked?
I'm shocked, absolutely.
Tonight, you'll meet the victims of the Bank of Queensland's incompetence and greed. Steve Reynolds, a war veteran, facing the loss of a home that's been in his family since just after World War II. Jan Campbell, who at nearly 65 has been crippled by a Bank of Queensland loan and forced to go back to work. There are 50-year-olds who'd flag under the burden of what you're doing today.
Oh, well, yes, but, they haven't lost their life savings either.
Somebody has to give us some answers.
So how did it all happen?
Storm was looking after Storm Financial.
Jan and Steve, like scores of others, invested their life savings with the notorious financial planning firm Storm. It collapsed 18 months ago, its customers losing up to $3 billion.
We were all sucked in by trust. We just totally trusted them and paid them very big money, so why wouldn't we?
Storm's charismatic founder, Emmanuel Casamatis, had such a hold on his clients that as their life savings dried up, he encouraged them to borrow even more money from the banks. Banks like the Bank of Queensland. Casamatis took his cut, the bank made a motza. But for the massively overcommitted investors, financial ruin was almost inevitable.
And what was it like to have to go back to work?
It was humiliating and it was hard. But it was something I had to do. I had no choice.
So now, Jan Campbell is up before dawn to catch the bus. Back to the job she retired from 2 years ago. By 7 a.m, Jan's clocked on for another shift.
Good morning. Just got your breakfast.
The first of 7 days straight on her old hospital rounds.
You haven't stopped, Jan, since you got here.
Well, some days it's tough, yes, but I've learned to cope with a lot of this.
Jan and husband Alan's life savings consisted of this house and a swag of super.
Because the whole Storm financial advice was the same.
Yes.
Until they invested with Storm.
Yes.
Right, you keep it.
By the middle of 2008, these retirees were more than $1.7 million in the red. Loans they could just not afford. But Storm urged them to borrow even more. One big bank knocked them back, but not to worry, said a Storm advisor.
He said, we can always get money from the banks.
Giving you the wink.
Yes, it was like, it was their big secret. They can always get money from the bank.
Bizarrely enough, that bank turned out to be a small suburban outpost of the Bank of Queensland, nearly 1,400 kilometres away. It was the now notorious North Ward branch in Townsville. Welcome to Loans Central. This tiny little branch of the Bank of Queensland here in Townsville pumped out well over $100 million worth of loans to storm customers far and wide. And because the managers also own the branch, they made money on every loan. Not that they want to talk to us about it. This is owner-manager Matthew Buchanan. In one good year, he estimates he made about $350,000. His partner at the bank is Declan Carnes. Both men refuse to be interviewed.
Hi, I'm David Liddy, Managing Director of Bank of Queensland.
The bank's reluctance to talk is at odds with its sunny public image.
Hi, I'm John.
Bank of Queensland prides itself, indeed promotes itself, on personal local service.
BOQ's difference is that our branches are run by owner-managers.
Managers are even required to meet loan applicants face to face.
Ask yourself, would your bank do this?
So had you ever met anyone from the Bank of Queensland?
Never set foot inside a Bank of Queensland office.
So these fellows from the North Ward branch in Townsville didn't fly down here to Brisbane to meet you?
No.
And you didn't fly up to Townsville to meet them?
No.
Did they ring you on the phone?
No.
It was a feeding frenzy, and they were in there to get their chop.
Steve Reynolds also got his loan from the North Ward branch of the Bank of Queensland. Do you feel comfortable standing here?
No, I'm not. I'm not comfortable here at all.
This disabled Vietnam vet is mad as hell that he's been saddled with loans worth well over $400,000, which he could never repay. And every month, the debt just gets bigger and bigger.
Would you like to see some emails that the executives sent each other about you?
I would.
And here they are, internal Bank of Queensland documents, an email and paper trail which confirms all of Steve's suspicions.
Makes me sick thinking about it. Seeing this evidence here.
Produced in a recent court case, the documents show that in granting his loan, the bank accepted quite obviously rubbery figures.
Basically, none of the info provided and input on the applicant is accurate.
And what about this? A rate notice showed he was a pensioner, so the cited $100,000 income
Is obviously not true.
I've never seen that before and I didn't know about that.
That suggests that they made you a loan that they knew, or should have known on the figures here, you couldn't afford to repay.
Yes. That's what it looks like. I'm stunned that it's there in front of us. And they have it also?
This is their document.
But Steve wasn't alone, not by a long shot. As it became apparent that some customers would default on their loans, at the highest levels of the Bank of Queensland, they started to panic.
This is going to unravel at a rate of knots.
Internal emails among the senior executives reveal frantic exchanges.
This is just crap. Brief the CEO.
And what it would all mean for the bank's standing and bottom line.
Sooner or later, we will receive some hard questions.
Here at head office, they now realise they had a rogue branch in the network, doling out loans when the numbers just didn't add up. It was all contained in this internal Bank of Queensland report, which concluded there were so many problems with so many storm loans, they may well have to be set aside.
It's a nightmare scenario and it's, one's greatest nightmare. So
it's the sort of banking behaviour that infuriates John Simon from Aussie Home Loans. This is the banking hub of Australia. Is this how business is done?
No, it's totally beyond me how this has happened.
So they would have hit the crisis button?
Absolutely. Anyone would.
The Bank of Queensland's own internal report pieced together how these crazy loans were approved in the first place. The bank turned a blind eye to the storm clients' massive existing debts. Now that made their loan applications look much rosier. And hey presto, the new loans were approved. On one file, North Ward owner-manager Matthew Buchanan wrote,
"No other debts other than a credit card."
when in fact the loan applicant had a pre-existing loan of more than $1.3 million, which the report says Buchanan knew all about.
If what you've shown me is proved to be correct, it's atrocious. It's serious. And
So what's the risk if you leave out, if you know they've got a massive existing loan and you leave it out, just in simple terms, what risk do you take?
Well, you're taking a huge risk because, well, first of all, if you don't disclose everything and you purposefully cover it up, that's called fraud.
By the bank?
That's fraud by the bank's employees or whoever was putting the application together.
So it's fraud if they did it knowingly, if they did it deliberately?
Absolutely. And if that's proven, people could go to jail. And probably deserve to go to jail.
Single customer of ours. We are dealing with the customers. We're satisfied with the way that the bank's dealing with our customers.
Not satisfied
I
with
think
it,
you'll
Mr.
find
Lee.
some of them very much are.
You get the impression nothing gets in David Liddy's way. Even when facing tough questions, he doesn't waver from his morning routine.
Mr. Liddy, how can you
Excuse
insist
me,
that old
Helen,
people
sorry.
repay loans they should never have got in the first place, sir?
Helen, I don't agree with you in the first instance. And like I said,
What's telling about this whole saga is that the Commonwealth Bank has admitted it did the wrong thing by its Storm customers and will refund people who should never have got their loans.
Please, Mr. Liddy, how hard is it to say you were wrong?
But David Liddy is insisting customers like Jan and Steve pay back their loans. The Bank of Queensland has even told the Australian Stock Exchange it could find nothing improper in its dealings with Storm customers.
Mr. Liddy, the Commonwealth Bank has admitted they got it wrong on Storm and they're giving money back to their customers. How hard is it to admit your bank got it wrong?
we are dealing one-on-one with each of our customers, as I've said to you.
It does cast a very dark shadow out of everyone involved.
Including the CEO, David Liddy?
Oh, well, I think that he's really the captain of the ship, and you would have thought that David would have been privy to what was happening, particularly when things went wrong.
For years you've been saying at Aussie, we'll save you. Did these folks need saving from the Bank of Queensland?
Absolutely, they need saving. Bank of Queensland needs to get off their butt and start making good.
In the end, Jan Campbell gave up hope that the Bank of Queensland would do the right thing. Faced with a massive monthly mortgage repayment, she and Alan sold up, paid out their loan, and in a tragic twist, they're now renting the family home back from the new owners.
A lot of things hurt, but you've just got to make the best of it.
And what did they take from you, the Bank of Queensland, when they lent you this money?
Well, they've taken our life, our livelihood, our home, and our dreams of a comfortable retirement.
It's pretty much everything, isn't it? Your home and your dreams.
Yes.
They can't take much more than that, can they?
No. No.
Hello, I'm Amelia Adams. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for our brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minute segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.